Well, I guess I'm going to be the one that has to start off here, even though we are here live on Cash Money Madness for the pilot and first episode. And look how smoothly we have already started off with of Cranky Old Fans. That's right, we're Cranky Old Fans. We're going to try something different here, and it's going to be Rumble exclusive. Thank you, Rumble, for being a bastion of freedom, because we're able to say things, say words, all that across here. That a certain other platform that starts with an U and ends with "fuck YouTube" uh, will not let us say. And of course, expect also. I just want to warn everybody and beforehand. The humor. Even though it's a more serious show, the humor and of course language might be a little bit more for the older sets. So please, which is great because this is a later program starting at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Daylight Time. Or sorry, 8 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock here in the Central Zone. So hey, we are now officially a late night talk show. Take that, Greg Gudfield. We're coming for you. Um, of course, being that this is Cash Money, let me introduce myself, Baron Ormontag, for anybody who might not know who I am. I'll co-host for both Pop Talk and The Beyond, and part of other things. Of course, to the well, what did you say? It's that name. Right of me, the left of you guys, is Cash Money 007 himself, and I'll let him take over, being that this is a show, and then I'll be going into what they call, hey, we're letting you know this is an exciting thing here, a little bit of a monologue, which we're going to hopefully do, and then we'll get into the actual program after that. So please, Cash, take it away, man.
Yo. Yeah, so I am part of my own show, the Phantom Hooligans on YouTube, of course, co-host on Pop Talk as well, and the Beyond. And then I've been doing more on the Cash Money Madness now. And so it's nice because Rumble gives us more freedom, and I appreciate that. I still look at this as a backup channel, but we're doing more content on here because, like Baron said, fuck YouTube sometimes because they can be an ass. Not always. Not always.
No, no,
Sometimes.
no, no. I mean, there's some redeemable things like Pop Talk every Sunday
That's
and
right.
Wednesday, like the Beyond every
Mm-hmm.
Thursday on Five
Mm-hmm.
for you, like the Hooligans 3 or Friday Night Hooligans, or what you want to call it, with the gaming
Mm-hmm.
on Fridays. You never know, but
Yep.
you know what?
There's
It's great
videos
to
on
be
there or solo streams, whatever. Yep. Mm-hmm.
right. But it's always great to be here on Rumble. And it might be a quote unquote backup, but I have a sneaky feeling in the very near future, Rumble really is going to take off, especially if they do keep and are serious about one of the most important fundamentals, which is called free speech, which is going to go right into my monologue that I have going on here. And I guess it kind of ties in a little bit with the subject at hand that we are talking about on when we first start off. Was not intended to be that way, but we have a little bit of a situation around the world, particularly in a place called England. You might have heard of it. We kicked their ass twice, and then we had to save their ass twice, and in other spots of Europe, you might say, and the things in England have been going way south for the longest time. One of the great things, of course, here with us in the United States, we have an enjoyment of is something called the freedom of speech, our First Amendment itself. And let's face it, I think this is one of the things that only the United States has, that the guarantee of the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights, which protects the people from the state, not the other way around. So this is an unalienable right of this, and of course the organization of religion, and not to have the government involved in the religion. People always want to sit back and talk about the protection, separation of church and state. Yeah, that's to protect the church more than the state. Trust me. But
Yep.
we're going to go into that first. We're going to talk about free speech in this matter. And it seems like in England, we do have a little bit of a problem. They do not like free speech, specifically that they are in a state of turmoil, virtually into a level of what you would call a civil war over there, amongst illegal migrants coming into that nation, trying to take it over, having actually sealed off areas of the country where basically those in what I say native, I mean anyone who was born there or naturalized there, and that's more than just Anglo-Saxon. That includes Indians. That do include Pakistanis. It does include others that have been either a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations living in that country, but now they're seeing the migrants coming in are just as threatened by them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we have
Well,
had it. So,
just to interrupt for a second,
yes,
Mike
sir.
decided to drop a $2 super chat. I guess we can call them super chats. And congrats on it,
What?
one gentleman. Yeah.
I didn't even know we were monetized. Okay, I expect some money, man. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. I don't have that up because I was in the middle of my monologue. Thank you, Cash. Thank you, Mike. Uh, but when you especially with the level of the attacks that we have going on there, and of course, everyone goes around. We have these people ready to go after, and particularly people outside of the country. They're not very happy that Americans might be making comments about what's going on in that country, and they wish to extend their what would you say, their reach, and wish to want to come over and take people, extradite them out, and of course prosecute them for something called free speech, something which is guaranteed. They want to send somebody like this to knock on your door and say, "Hey, excuse me, we don't like what you're saying," but with a British accent and worse teeth than that. As it goes, you never know the level of hubris that you have going on, that they think they can come over and do this. Again, we start forgetting that countries are homes. Each one of the homes have their own rules inside those homes. We have our walls, we have our locks on our doors. The reason why we're together is be able to protect ourselves. And primarily, a government started off from the beginning days where people congregated together to protect each other from other groups of people who are congregated together. And such, and grows and grows. And now we have a country which is basically a one giant house. But now we have someone who says they're our friend, our neighbor next door, but yet they're complaining that they don't like what we're sitting back saying. So they do have their little super police ready to come over and to drag us off across the pond to the sweltering heat of jolly old England, of London out there. And I know that the English people are not necessarily liking this either. They are suffering as well. Now, of course, there are certain officers you wouldn't mind having drag off. I mean, that's not bad, but you kind of get worried about that. And of course, sometimes they're just a little too eager to do the job and more wanting. We already have an international police. It's a weak one. It just the fact that the government works together. You might have seen the name in front of the videos back in the day, and maybe even the DVDs telling you, please don't pirate this, or some group called Interpol or International Police will come after you. But other than that, their powers are weak. But we do not need another country coming in and stating that because we talk, we have to be arrested. What is the fear in words? Why are they afraid of? Is it because they cannot counter that? Is it because they're unable to? How can you have control then? If the people with their lying eyes, being able to hear, to be able to speak, and you can't counter it, you have to shut them up. Mm-hmm. We're having issues like that there. But the last thing we need to have is another country coming over. But I do have to warn you, you never know when you might have sympathizers within the countries in which you take that out there reporting you to the English. So I always have to sit back and say, of course, make sure your house is clean and patrol that as well. Okay, and with that, I'm going to bring it over to Mr. Cash Monet. After that, the first monologue. Of course, hopefully he will do the next monologue for the next show. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed.
Yep, and this goes into what we're talking about today with PC culture and how it's still a cancer. So,
and well, I forgot to do one thing, and this is how we're going to go in there. My apologies for interrupting, but again, this is a pilot episode. We'll get the creaks out, but just a second here, and you can go on. I figure I spent hours and hours, probably 2 days doing that. So I'm going to play.
Very fancy.
Yeah, very fancy. I think it's very fancy. Yes.
Yeah. So, and that last police officer, that's a good-looking person. So yeah, that's great.
Magnificent chin.
Magnificent chin, definitely.
I would but, chin like
that. I know you do.
That's why I have a beard.
But yes, so that moves into our point about political correctness and how political correctness has gone into censorship. But just sitting and talking about the main issue, political correctness, and how it's still a cancer, we even can go back to all the way to 97, where Disneyland, or Disney in general, decided, hey, we need to change the Pirates ride because this offends people. But the question is, how many people did it actually offend? And so we go back all the way to the late 90s. And now, where are we now? We're changing games, we're changing words, that we don't like in the dictionary. We're changing, what else are we changing? Some sports teams. We've got the idiotic name Commanders. There's even fans who are like, they don't even want to go to the game because of the name change. That has actually happened. I don't know if it's getting better now or worse. But all right. So we keep going in this pattern, and the reason this stuff has become a cancer is it because it's my feelings. So we have to change cartoons. We have to get rid of Pepe Le Pew because he's not considered politically correct. We have to get rid of name changes of sports teams, as I just said. We have to change things from male and female to type 1 and 2. Why? Because of feelings. It's always feelings. And there's yet still people out there who want to fight with you and argue with you all the time about the fact that political correctness is not that much of a problem. But it is. And it's still a cancer. It's a parasite. And people that just decide to go along with it and defend it are part of the problem and still a big part of the problem. And so I feel like Disney has had a big part of it, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And so I feel it gets to the point where it's getting now. I don't want to buy this game because of this. And there's small things, even in Forza Horizon 5, where you actually have pronouns, where there's no option to have no pronouns. Now, that's small, but why is it in a racing game, period? It's
Well,
amazing. Go ahead. Yep.
well, yeah. Well, the thing is I think you got the date year wrong too. I think you said 97, but was it 07 or?
No, it was actually 97. I just
It
looked it
was
up.
97.
Yeah, it was when they decided to refurbish the Pirates ride. They decided to change that. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, and it all started because of one group started getting mad about it, and then everything started spiraling from there.
But
And remember, Speedy Gonzalez, something's wrong with him. Yet to Hispanics and other Mexicans, but definitely Latinas, whatever, he is considered a national treasure. I've had discussions with people who are Hispanic, and so, hey, it's Redsum. That's right, Redsum. Yep.
Well, the thing is
Right, Red.
of course, as you were saying, PC stemming from political correctness,
Right.
which started rearing its ugly head around the 80s and such,
Exactly.
and disguising itself in the form of, hey, politeness with an iron fist.
Mm-hmm.
And at first you think that if you look out of the language we had, especially in the 19th century, even the 18th, 19th, and such, and it was flowery. I mean, when people were talking, they were the language was elegant. We debased ourselves quite a bit as the 20th century went along. And at first I thought, is this an attempt to try to bring this back? Because back in those days it was young, naive, not that smart. But as that goes, is to try to get more of that flowery, but then you start seeing the insidiousness of it, and realizing that what we call political correctness and how it's being done today was coined and started with Stalin, but it still isn't a new thing. It doesn't matter where you are in history; you've had a form of it. As long as they can try to use your words against you, or they can try to twist your words of what you said and use it against you. And yes, I mean, to the point that we're going to make sure you're airbrushed out of the picture next to Stalin. And when you got airbrushed out of a picture, it meant that, well, generally you were dead. You were no longer around. You will be killed for things that you say, your opinion. And this isn't a good thing. Up in Canada today, you can't have churches. They threaten churches with having people sent off to the jail, the pastors, because they're not preaching the gospel of the word. They're preaching the gospel, of the world. They're preaching the gospel of the word, not the world, and they want the world because, as it goes, I'm sorry, government is a religion, in my opinion. The same thing with, I can't remember if Lithuania or Latvia. I can't remember Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. It's not Estonia, but one of the L countries. You have the same thing too, where we're going to lock you up for daring say something that we don't like. We had certain people, and this is one of the nice things about Rumble because we can actually say the word uh, without them going bonkers. But Adolf Hitler did the same thing.
Hmm.
Of course, the
Yeah.
before mentioned Stalin. You have had kings and queens have that happen. That they went out there and did that with. Castro was another. This is
Hmm.
a dangerous thing when you start having the political correctness. If you do not like what someone says, you can always plug your ears and go la 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 la, walk off. Or if you're intelligent enough to be able to counter them and engage in a discussion with the person, or just laugh it off because it's like, what do I care? My opinion is it's very hard for anybody to go out there and insult me with name calling and such. You talk about the racial epithets, stuff like that. And why am I not insulted? Because I don't respect you. I'd only affect me if it was someone I respected that started throwing that at me. But if I don't know who you are or I don't respect you, what does it matter? For me, I kind of consider chink chink. I pissed off the right people today, and I'm more than happy to do that. But when you we no one should be afraid to say, and it's like, of course, you'll ask Baron, what about those? What about the neo Nazis and the Klan and these people? Are they allowed to go out there and talk? Are you going to defend their right to do that? Yes. It's like, well, you're in sympathy for them. No, it has nothing to do with being sympathetic to them at all. In fact, quite the opposite. Because if you stifle their speech, if you start stifling anybody's speech, a natural reaction in human beings is to go, the conspiracy theory hat is on. If they're working this hard to stifle what someone says, there's got to be something behind it, and it starts giving those people validity. If you allow anybody to go out there and start speaking, and you think they're absolutely ludicrous, and you think most of the people out there are going to figure it ludicrous, let it be. Then they will fade away. They'll have less validity in the world. Quit giving these people validity if that's the case. I don't care if it's the Klan. I don't care if the new Black Panthers. I don't care if it's Antifa. I don't care if it's the neo Nazis. I don't care if it's BLM. Because in my book, they're all the same. In my book, they're all the
Yeah.
same.
They
And
all.
I'm not going to,
Mhm.
yeah. And I'm not going to restrict your speech because I want you to hear the stupidity that leaves their lips and the vile, the vitriol, the hate. It's not letting people hear the hate is going to cause more hate. It's trying to hide that so people think, well, maybe there's something to this hate.
Yep. Hey, what's up, Tommy? Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, we got the Guinea Pig Collective here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see
Uh,
you. Yeah. Well, the
and
the the main, and that's the whole thing, Baron. It's just all this stuff is just the words. It's the ignorance, and so if we're going to be fair about it, we have to protect all speech. But the funny thing is that the same people who act like they're gods in a way, they are the ones who threaten people who don't like things that they say. And so that goes along, we need to change this. No, it's always rules for thee, not for me. And that it keeps getting worse. So I don't like any of those groups that you say. I think they're all a bunch of pinheads, but that still their speech is still protected in this country. What I am going to say where it gets crazier is when people are saying, I'm allowed to break windows, I'm allowed to do this because I feel this way. That needs to stop.
Well, it goes down to other levels too. I mean, when you have a group of people out there that thinks they can go out there and say all the racist stuff, treat other people of other ethnicities like crap, and not think they're racist because they
Exactly.
feel the people they're doing that to have never felt racism. Well, congratulations, you just did that because you're targeting someone of a different race, ethnicity, and attacking them. And I bring that up is because I hear that all the time, and I'm sorry. This is not an attack on black people, but elements of the black people, just like you have elements of the white
Right.
people that are just as stupid
Exactly.
as
That's
these
right.
pinheads I'm talking about.
Mhm.
This element, and they say, well, And the one lady goes, "Listen, white boy, you don't know what racism is. You haven't lived." It's like, well, excuse me, I
Mm.
just experienced it.
Right.
You going out
Yep.
there and calling me white boy. What if I turn around and called you your skin color and girl?
Hmm.
What would that be?
Exactly.
No, it's the same thing. But there's one thing in this nation, one thing that about that First Amendment is great about is this. Not only do you have the freedom of speech, right? Except for obviously there are certain limits that you have on there. One of which is treason
Right.
and sedition,
Right.
and going out there and lying,
Yes.
just to,
Right.
knowingly lying, not the fact that you were given misinformation. You're repeating that because it's supposed to be from a quote unquote reliable source, but you are the one that
Mhm.
instigated the lie. That's not protected. But you have the right to be offended. What does that mean? You're probably asking, Baron. Here, me.
Mhm.
And the thing is, do you think the Jewish people had a right to be offended in Germany during the 30s when films are going out there equating rats coming out of the sewer as them, or when they're
Mhm.
having those signs that said Juden in front of their place, the Star of David, having them wear the Star of David. Not that that act is, because obviously that is an important symbol to the religion, but how it was being defaced by the Germans in these actions to
Right.
label them as something less than with their own religious symbol, and being the shield of David, also the greatest king that Israel had. Right. So, but the thing is, did they have? Do they have? Did they have the right to be offended? No. They try to be offended,
Right.
either in jail or
And
dead.
who?
Being
Yep.
sent off into the gulags. Do you think Castro's people that his detractors? Do you think that they had the right to be offended as they're being jailed and being silenced? No.
Mhm.
What about Stalin? I mean, there's a little man by the name of Trotsky who basically got a ice pick, I believe, to the forehead because of this whole thing about rights of speech and rights to be offended.
Yeah. It's just it's amazing, man. I mean, the fact that we've actually taken, cartoons and saying, "Oh, well, this is wrong. We can't have cartoon characters actually whistle at a nurse. We can't have a prince actually kiss a woman who got poisoned. Like that is now considered wrong. We have to embrace this other thing. Oh, this is wrong. We can't make a movie like this. We can't do this. We can't joke around about slapping a woman in the butt. We can't call a woman sweetie because you can see all these changes. And so, why should it be up to these people? These people. Why should it be up to many of these companies to say, no, we're going to tell you what's right and you're going to like it. And if you don't like it, well, you can shove off. Well, then when people shove off, hey, come back.
Well, that's just
Yeah.
it. I mean, when you go out there and with and let's just face it, all the woke movement is the political correct movement with another name. That's all they can do because
Right.
when being politically correct is no longer in fashion, in fact, maybe have a negative connotation, you just keep the same practice up, but you change the name and try a slightly different approach to worm its way in. So the political correct movement went from one to this. It's just like, oh, I'm not socialist. I'm liberal. I'm liberal. No, I'm actually progressive now. Oh, I guess we wore out that name. Okay, I guess we are socialist. Of course, the next step will be communist. The
Right.
the the thoughts is, as I always said, I'm constitutional conservative. I'm not going to hide that. I'm a constitutional conservative, and I do consider that as about as middle of the road as you can because you're adhering to the Constitution, which is supposed to be middle of the road. You're supposed to take care of everybody, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, even if I don't like it, it's again speech that I don't like. Well, it's to protect them,
Exactly.
even if I don't like it. But you know what? I do have that right to be offended, so I'll be offended. Okay, it takes
Mhm.
a lot
You
to
do.
offend me, also.
Of
Uh,
course.
but the thing is I don't know about how middle of the road you can get off of that where you're protecting. It's that small L libertarianism, not the big L, because I'm sorry, I consider libertarianism the party a bunch of clowns. But the concept of libertarianism I do like, which is what this country is based off of. So yeah, it's a ridiculous thing that we have there. People like it. We have a small minority going out there and saying this is what it's like. You were sitting back saying what Speedy Gonzales or Pepe Le Pew, or cartoon characters for crying out loud, Wacko, Yakko, and Dot. Uh, and then being told that we are going to have a modern audiences. Well, I've seen what you're doing for modern audiences, and the modern audiences are a bunch of morons. I'd rather go back in time a little bigger and enjoy the ones that actually are smarter, that realize that Wacko, Yakko, and Dot are is showing the silliness. Pepe Le Pew. Don't you realize he gets the tide turned on him? The cat goes after him at the end, and now he's the quote unquote victim.
Right.
Is that supposed to be the feminist dream where the woman scares the guy off? That's what happens in every Pepe Le Pew cartoon. And what about Speedy Gonzales? He is always getting the upper hand. He's going up against Daffy. He's going against Sylvester. It doesn't matter. But in the end, who is the victor? Who is never put in the corner? Who is never looking ridiculous? It's him. And even I can't remember his cousin, I think his cousin, Sopo Rodriguez, who I love him too as well. The same thing. Here they think this slow-moving mouse with a Spanish Mexican accent. And by the way, it's like, oh, you're making fun that they're slow. Then if that's the case, then why do we have a fast mouse with bad A? It's just caricatures, right? It's just having fun. But the thing is still Slowpoke gets them in the end.
Yeah, it does. But they don't want to see the bigger picture with that. And the thing is, sure, there can be stuff like the Mama that actually happened in Tom and Jerry. Once again, it's a different time. We can also find stuff that are more focused on shows of black people. That there could be there's stereotypes there. If you watch the George Lopez show, there's stereotypes in there. Even other Hispanics have said it.
Well,
it's just,
if you're going to do humor, if you're going to do satire, anything across the board, or just even in life, I have news for you, everybody. We all have a stereotype, whether it's personally or ethnicity, our area, right? So, I mean, there's several types of stereotypes. Yeah, like here I am in Minnesota. So yeah, for sure you expect us all to talk up here there like this, don't you know? And we're gonna go out there and have a little ice fishing contest, and we're gonna get some eel pot off of Lake Pepin. Oh yeah, that's gonna be really great. Yeah. Well, that's a stereotype for Minnesotans. Am I offended? No, I chuckle and laugh at that. That's what you expect. But we have that, just like Canadians say, hey, eh? Just like the Southerners have that long draw, or you got the woman from Georgia that goes, well, bless your heart. And you should crumble when you hear that, because that was a big insult. Or what about New York and how they talk and how they act? There is a stereotype. But if you're going to judge the whole essence off of a stereotype, that is wrong. To have fun with it is good, because that's what humor is about. It is about poking fun at how we do things. It's about laughing at pain and misery, to get over certain things, to have a laugh at ourselves. Like, oh yeah, I can see that stereotype in me. You're absolutely right. Yep. But the thing is that's not demeaning someone for having the stereotype. It's not saying that that's all you are is a stereotype. No, it's just that a stereotype.
That's what it is. It's the same thing. You go back into the late 80s. I remember there was a Phantasy Star game where there's males who decide to hit on the female. And what did she say? Shut up. It's funny, because that's what females would say to someone that they don't care for who's hitting on them. But now they're trying to say that that is inappropriate, or something happened and a guy accidentally fell into the woman's bed at night, or he was drunk or something. It's just supposed to be funny, but we can't do that anymore because that's wrong. That's this. Yet men, if we're going to be fair about it, because for some reason there's going to be a Twilight animated show coming out, God forbid, but there is. And
why do you ruin my night?
I know, right? But just saying, they can take off their shirt and say, but women, because of it's not politically correct, can have a midriff shown, can have a skirt, can have look sexy. I mean, we've gotten to the point, and this goes along with political correctness. So funny that we actually had on the cover of a health magazine a woman, Lizzo, and this is what
Mm,
considered healthy. No, and this is
yeah.
all because I believe of political correctness. This is where this crap just keeps going, and it's a virus, and it never
Well,
stops. It never stops. It never stops.
see, the problem is society today. You're talking about some of this has become so hypersexualized
Yes, yes,
that you have two guys that are good friends. Oh, they must be gay. Or
right,
oh, there's
right.
those guys together. Oh, they're just stupping and whatever, and it takes away actually what we call that the sexual humor away from it all. Because how can you have humor about that if everything you're thinking about is also all people are having is sex? Just walk out. No, but I think back to a show like Three's Company when it first came out. Yeah,
Yes, which was
it
considered
was
controversial. Hmm.
well, yeah,
For
not
its
as
time.
controversial as you would think, but it
No,
was
no.
just it was pushing the
Yes, it
boundaries, right?
was.
I would
Yes.
say more of that because how it was, and you have a guy who's strict that's passing himself as homosexual, and
Right.
not in an insulting way. You
No.
have you have this landlord downstairs that takes shots at him, but obviously he doesn't have a big enough problem with it because he's still allowing the guy to live in his building, and yeah, they might have barbs back and forth with each other, but obviously he doesn't hate the guy or he is not what you would call homophobic, which is silly because phobic means fear, and a lot of people just have disgust. There's a difference between the two folks. I mean, and so you have the straight guy living with two women who also are straight too, but there's nothing going on between the three of them. But you can still have that sexual tension, humor, the double entendres, where in some ways you have to think a little bit about the humor that's going on there instead of them just burying it out there like a pair of naked breasts. Uh, we've become so stupid in that aspect. And there's nothing wrong with having the sexual humor. There was nothing wrong with having the occasional fart joke or poop joke or pee joke.
As long as it fits, as long
Right.
as it fits,
And
right? Hmm.
right. Well, we've had it all along. And the
Hmm.
thing is just like you said, but more importantly, if it's not constant, where it's like, oh, five of them so far in this movie, or five of them in this TV show, if that's all you can rely on, whatever. And that's the problem with political correctness. It dumbs everything down. And
Everything.
right, and you are afraid to say something or even be creative.
Yep.
What creative bone we have? So,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny also the whole Siamese Cats thing, where
mm,
they make a live action movie of Lady and the Tramp, which the animated one I would say is considered a classic by
mm,
many people, even
me,
today. Yeah,
me.
it's right. And the Siamese Cats, it's not supposed to be something of racist, but other people will say it is. Just like they'll
Mhm.
say there's stuff in Dr. Seuss that it could be considered racist towards Asians. I mean, if you look hard enough, you can probably find anything to offend you. But
Well,
the funny thing is that it's just this stuff just keeps happening, and Disney does same with The Simpsons. While The Simpsons, I would say, has done a better job than Family Guy, that's not always saying much. They still took out Apu because of that stupid documentary that Oprah was part of that said that, oh, these kids from India were called Apu. And so even Hank Azaria was like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You don't bow down to any mobs. There was nothing wrong with Apu. And the funny thing, even on Disney Plus, you can't even get some of those episodes because they're considered inappropriate.
mhm. And that's the problem where they're going to keep it from you. And then, of course, what does that start doing again? It starts going, okay, what this is all about. And when, of course, when they do actually see it, they'll realize this is a big nothing burger. These people are morons. These people are idiots.
Right.
And oh, there's so many people in India called Apu. So that means that if there's anybody that's not that's outside of England, they can't, or United States, you can't use John. There's so many people by the name of John. So if you're a Japanese show and you're going to have an American person in there, please don't use John.
Right.
Please, that's our name. Okay. There's a lot of people there. That's insulting. That's embarrassing. No, come on, bite me.
Well,
Bite
I
me.
guess
It's not the
because
case.
according to the documentary at the time, they were saying because kids were being called a poo, or each kids were
Yeah.
calling each other a poo, and it was considered offensive. You only made it offensive because you wanted to make it offensive.
I had to sit back and say something. Boy, do they forget what we did back in the 80s. We would call each other racial epithets back and forth between the ethnicity. But the thing is, many of the times that we're doing it with many of us, it was just busting each other's chops. There was no meaning
Right.
behind it other than doing that. So, I mean, I'd love to see someone get thrown back in time from now. Both, doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, because I think you're all pinheads. But if your mindset is that way, it's like, watch them melt when they hear these words. I mean, Richard Pryor, Cleavon Little,
Yes.
the Blazing Saddles, Red Fox. I mean,
Boondocks has stuff that they wouldn't even appropriate. Jamie
mhm,
Foxx, they wouldn't have done
mhm,
stuff. The way he talks to women, the way
mhm,
the other men talk to women, and that they would never try those jokes. I would be shocked if they
mhm,
did. Stuff that happened in the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air, they would never do this today because they would consider it's not politically correct.
right. And you know what? That is not your job. Your job is not to go around there and say, this is appropriate, this isn't appropriate. That's why I'm thankful for you, Rumble. Uh, your job is just to give us good entertainment and quit lecturing and
Yeah.
quit preaching. And I think that kind of helps us kind of go to the next step here.
Yeah,
I don't think
definitely.
it's quite the same, but it's kind of in the same way. So, gentlemen, this is any last thoughts on the PC is still a cancer? I know we could talk about 4 hours, but we
Oh
do
yeah,
have a schedule.
we
And yeah,
do.
you're absolutely right.
Yes.
You had people sitting back, going around that way, and that actually was going to be one of the points I was going to make on there. Just one last thing, when you start censoring speech, you start getting something called a cant, and we have that YouTube cant.
That's
You
right.
know, right, where we use other words or euphemisms to bring the word across because the freedom is bullshit over there, right?
Exactly.
So guess what happened? Just like the homosexuals in England had to have their cant, right? So they could bring the meaning. And one of the things also is where words come from, like gay. When I
Right.
remember when they have that, quit saying gay, because people sit back and say gay as meaning lame. That's
Right.
it's like, excuse me. So do the appropriators are upset that your name that you appropriated being appropriated? Because the origin of gay for homosexuals was from wearing as an identifier because of the cant or the visual the visual signals as well, wearing green and yellow, GAY. Gay. It had nothing to do with festive. It had nothing to do with the gay 90s. It had nothing to do with that. It was just to identify the green and yellow, which is why some men would never wear those colors back in the day. They didn't want to be associated that way. And that's
Yeah.
how gay came around. A brand
Even
new cant right there. No?
Yeah, and even stuff at breakfast at Tiffany's. Look, however you feel about it, and you feel that face, you can say it's racist if you want, but the thing is, as other critics have said, we need to analyze this stuff and ask questions about it. That's right. Instead of trying to cancel it or changing it. Can you imagine if there was a breakfast at Tiffany's movie today? They would try to change things because it's inappropriate. Even if it feels inappropriate, that doesn't mean you change it. You can analyze it. You don't need to cancel it.
Mhm. And before we move on to the next subject here, I
Mhm.
just want to say the red some there is, I mean,
Yes.
believe it or not, I had some today. I cooked some up tonight, but so with gravy and mashed potatoes and and got leftovers for the missus. Even though here
Right.
I'm in the States, I did have that British style across the board, but I did not put beans on toast. I'll leave that to the wife on there. And you forgot one thing. I don't smoke one of them either. I smoke a pipe. So with that, I think we should move on to our next
All right.
topic. That was another hour and a half. So I want to make sure we get that out there. An hour and a half of work. So I mean, yeah.
That's right. Baron's been working tirelessly.
Oh, my
He's been
fingers
working
hurt
very.
too much.
He's getting tired. He was working
Yeah.
tired. Yes, very tired on it.
I need bionic fingers now. I wore my other ones down to a nub.
Tirelessly.
Yeah,
Yes, tirelessly.
my eyes are permanently crossed too. And
uh,
what
yeah.
what were we going to talk about in this other subject? Oh, I
Our
forgot.
second. I got it.
What were
Yep.
we going to talk
Mhm.
about? Wait, but before we do about that, let's break for a commercial.
Okay.
Because that's what ties in for what we are going to be talking about.
That's
time
right.
for another commercial. We're not, I'll be great if we could have an advertiser. I'd love to do a commercial between topics.
And
Anybody out there need advertising? We're here for you. We work cheap. We'll pay you for advertising. How's that? Hey,
but
that's a move, by the
yeah,
way.
Tommy, I hope you got Rumble fixed or something. Yeah, Rumble's not perfect, unfortunately. None of these
No,
platforms are.
no.
Yeah, so moving on to the second topic, ad blocker. And the reason why this is important is because their YouTube, you get ads about your digestive system, which you don't need. You get
Maybe
ads
not
about
you, but
maybe I've gotten a few before. You get and the ads
no,
are
no. I mean
very
digestive systems. I might need
oh
those ads
yeah.
for the day.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
You might need those.
when you get about 55 going on 56, hey, things don't work down there. That's part of the
Right,
plumbing.
I
If you know what
get
I
you.
mean? Yeah. Okay, back.
But yeah, we get those, and we go to websites like PC Gamer, Twin Infinite, I think it's called,
Mhm.
and you get these ads, and then you get these messages. Turn off your ad blocker because these ads help us. The problem is that you turn them off, and then the ads get very aggressive, and
Mhm.
it's a problem. It doesn't matter if it's a free site. It doesn't matter that you're watching stuff on there. They're very aggressive. I understand that they use this to make money, but they've gotten too aggressive. And so I would always suggest use an ad blocker. And you can find many examples on YouTube, on different websites where I think Game Rant even does it, where they're like, turn off your ad blocker because if you don't, we won't get this money. But their ads are always aggressive. So you're like,
Mhm.
sometimes you go on a site, you can't even, you have a problem, even the ad is there and you can't even click on it. You see it in
Mhm.
Bounding the Comics. You see it other ones. Some are not aggressive, but there's still a lot of sites that are aggressive about ads. So you go on YouTube, you got to watch an ad. You go on Twitch, you got to watch an ad. Yes, once you're affiliated or even a partner on there, you can make money from it. But still, you're watching an ad, and some ads should be targeted more towards you that could be good, but it's just too aggressive. And that's why using an ad blocker, it's going to help you every time because you get bombarded by these ads. And so the companies will say, "Oh, how dare you use an ad blocker? How dare you?" Then stop being aggressive with the ads,
Mhm.
please.
Well, this is a double-edged sword on this because,
Yes.
well, one, use Brave, folks. That's what I use. I have an automatic ad blocker in there. I haven't
Mhm.
seen an ad since then, which is great because, uh, I even on the live stream, I don't want to be interrupted on that and screw everything up. And they'll do that in there. But I can see, part of me is a private company, right? And they need to make some money off of it, even though I think they're doing it the wrong way, especially when they start screwing over the content creators, where they probably be making a hell of a lot more money that way than doing the commercials. Plus, that way you're not whoring yourself out to a corporation that tells you, well, we'll pull our funding from you if you keep this YouTuber on, or if you don't censor this or whatnot on there. It's better let that be a true public. But okay, so you need to keep things going live. Having an occasional interruption when you're watching a video a stream. But like you said, Cash, it has become such an aggressive thing where it's how many in a row before you know it, instead of being a 15 to 30-second wait between so they could put a commercial out there, now you're going for about a minute and a half, if not even more, because they got this one, this one, this one. They have you pegged for where you are, so you're starting to get the local stuff. So, the local adverts are getting in there and the local candidates who you really don't give a rip about or parties. But still, and it's the same one sometimes over and over and over again in the same block. It's like, okay, we got, they play that one, then they play that one over again because why? They haven't filled the other spots up. And my opinion is if you haven't filled those other spots up, just get rid of them, right? You already got the person paying. Are they going to pay for every single one in there? Maybe they are. I don't know. But I'm an old time radio guy. We did things differently back then when it came to advertising and how people paid. But yeah, I mean, advertising by itself is not a bad thing. But again, like you said, they can be overly aggressive, and sometimes it goes into the factor of greed. How is
Yeah,
it really helping the platform? How is it helping those that put content on there? Before you know it, now certain elements, and I will name names: Disney, Warner Brothers, all these people have that priority treatment over everything because they're the big corporation. Who knows what else they're putting in there? So you're getting that money, but we're going to be even more greedy, and we're going to break up ours that we have over there, just so we can squeeze a pound of flesh, and we'll put adverts in there that are counterproductive to what you're talking about.
exactly. And it's just amazing, even on the UI, the interface of
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Oh, right. Microsoft recently, I hope they fix this. There was ads on there, and
Mm-hmm.
people were like, "Why is this happening?" You decide to do the Spectrum plan, and you get Disney Plus. You have to get it free with ads, so they're still getting money, obviously. And
Right.
yes, there's only 2 ads, but you still have to watch 2 ads. Yet Paramount Plus, there are no ads, but there's still other crap on there. That some a little bit,
Yeah.
but the reason is that even these streaming services, then like, okay, well, I want to pay extra for ads. Well, then they're just sucking more money out of your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So it just continues. And so then YouTube's like, oh, we want to stop ad blocker. We want to stop ad blocker. Why don't you guys stop with the aggressive ads? And then maybe that would help for people to say, okay, I'm going to turn off my ad blocker this time. And the ad blocker companies or whoever making these programs are winning because they're going to keep updating, and they're not going to let YouTube and these other sites try to dictate what they're going to do with this. And if the ads, as I said, weren't aggressive like they've been on different websites and a number of them, then it wouldn't be as big of a problem.
Right. I mean, when it comes down to it, what frightens us too when they start talking about those walk-in showers, and you start realizing, hey, wait a moment, I'm liking the idea. Guess what? Now I'm part of that demographic. But I still would love to
Right.
have those walk-in baths that they have. That'd be well. I think that's an awesome idea. But yeah, the aggressiveness is like anything. You do not want that, and I think it's all across the board. I mean, yeah, at least the free services aren't bad yet as bad with it yet. But I mean, even when you're paying for Amazon Prime, even if you're paying for certain levels of Netflix and others, yeah, I'm paying money for your service, but yet you're making me watch ads unless I pay more for your service.
Exactly.
What people are going to you because they want to get away from that. That was your niche. That was what everyone's excited about. I am willing to pay this much a month to not have commercials and enjoy having an experience. Now you have something like Pluto or Tubi, which are 100% free, and let's face it, the commercials aren't bad. On Pluto, they do try to keep the commercials to the original length for the show, so they don't get chopped up, and you get it. And why do they need to expand it more? I mean, that commercial break longer.
Remember
And
when
of course,
Hulu
Tubi again is free. You get that beforehand. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
remember Hulu actually didn't used to do commercials when they first started. Then they
Mm-hmm.
started getting a bit greedy.
Well, you could. Well, again, Hulu is one of those things. You can watch this free and you have the commercials, or you can pay and not have the commercials.
Yep, that's the same with
And,
Netflix.
and what happened? They dropped the free, and then they started telling people that paid for the plan not to have commercials. Well, you're going to have commercials now, but if you want to pay even more money now, you can get the one without commercials and pray that we do not alter your agreement. They're just walking around thinking they're an Empire Strikes Back talking to Lando
Right.
Calrissian.
Yes.
Right. And Amazon Prime again. You're going to sit down and then they plug a show, one of their own shows in there. It's like, listen, you take your rings of power and shove it up where the sun don't shine. I am not interested. Didn't you see my little negative mark I made for your show? So I should tell you right there to bugger off. But of course, their algorithm machine is absolutely screwed up, and that's the problem. It's the algorithm too. They're relying too much on all this garbage out there that is not accurate. Doesn't do a good job. But if I'm going to go for Amazon Prime, I damn well better not see a commercial.
Exactly.
And that is the problem. What James was saying, but I can't believe how you got so much commercials, blah blah blah. I said, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't like either. That's why we keep on trying to go for other sources to watch without having to worry about that garbage. But at least it gives you a good enough time to crack one off in the toilet between during the commercial break. In the old days it was like, okay, maybe I can do a quick whiz by the toilet and then get back in time before the commercials are over. And back in the old days, no, it's like, hey, no, I'm gonna crack one. I'm gonna roast Sunday dinner. I'll get that turkey in there, make sure everything's done. By the time the turkey comes out, yeah, the show's back. Uh, and this is going to be one of the things that destroys a lot of the entertainment too. I'm not against commercials. Some commercials are fun to watch. Sometimes I sit down and watch. On the old YouTube, the commercial, the streams that show retro commercials. But the last thing I need to see while I'm watching commercials is a fucking commercial.
Right, exactly. And right, it's even like the Super Bowl commercials. You used to look forward to them more. Now they've just got kind of stupid, or there might be a message in there. Lately, they haven't done that as much, which is good. But it's just really unfortunate. But that's why ad blocker and all stuff. I wish we didn't have this. We had to do this, but they just can't stop with the nonsense. And then they want to blame other people. Oh, you need to turn off your ad blocker. You need to do this. Go ahead, guys. Turn off your ad blocker. Watch PC Gamer. Watch some of these other sites. I think even WCCF Tech, and see how aggressive those commercials are, and see how annoying it is. And then turn back on ad blocker and go, feels so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to start waving that flag right there when you see all that. It's like you're inundated so much with commercials. It's like, okay, time to go see it in the high C. Hey, some more YouTube can't there. How you like that? I brought that in. But, well, yeah. So, and just like you said, I don't think anyone would even think about ad blocker wasn't for the fact that if someone's got to come up with something like ad blocker, instead of screaming and crying that it's out there, you have to sit back and start asking yourself, why is it out there? What are we doing that someone actually thought? Because if someone thought about doing this, it's a reaction to something. There is something going on that we should address and look at, and do it objectively too. Not the guy who actually says the right thing gets tossed out the window. That meme that they have. It's like, what can we do? And two sycophant answers, and the truth gets thrown out. And we all need to do. And yeah, even like Wetson was saying too about pay-per-view. Even pay-per-view events have, boom, commercials. We are living in a time where money is precious for us average people, right?
And it should always be for anybody, but yeah.
Right. And we have to cut back on our services. But what we cut back on, if we even have any services, which I don't anymore because, I can't afford it. But even then, you pick and choose, which one do I want? Which one's going to be the one that is going to screw me over the least? And I can assure you, if you're the ones that are dumping out all these commercials, even though you're paying for it, whether people consciously or subconsciously look at, no, you've dropped down on the list. I'd rather go to something where I'm utterly unmolested by this, because escapism also includes commercials. I want escapism from that because that throws me back into the real world, which I don't want to be in when I want to watch about dinosaurs eating people up. What are you going to do? You're going to have the algorithm go out there with dinosaur chow instead. Hey, you got your Velociraptor home, make sure you got the best things with the proper meats and such like that, so they had the shiniest coat possible. Everything, entertainment is escapism. Advertisements pull you out and back into the real world in some fashion or another. And people are willing to put up with it so much. When it starts to become a constant, it's like, well, then why am I watching this show? If I turn the TV on and the first thing I see is a freaking commercial there, okay, I'm going to go to another channel. I'm going to flip around until I find something. And you won't get my viewership on the show that I might really have because, well, I'm not going to sit through a bunch of commercials. And radio is the same way. I mean, just going with the radio, but we don't have ad blocker for radio yet.
No,
It's
not a
called your
thing.
mixtape. It's your mixtape. It's mixtape and your CD collection, or even internet radio. Um, but which I'm listening to right now. I'm listening to a Russian station right now. Guess what? They don't have commercials. Okay,
Amazing.
I'm shocked and amazed. Shocked and amazed.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
you
it's back.
guys all found out that Baron might be half Russian. It's crazy.
I do have a little Russian in my family. Yes, I
There you
do.
go.
Yeah. Uh, uh, Basically, my ethnicity goes German, Norwegian. I think there might be some Dane. I mean, usually there is, anyways. If you're Norwegian, there's going to be a little Dane in you because, yeah, is back in the day, right? But Polish and the Russian. Uh, and of course, the Polish and Russian could have changed every week because of the contentious area that they're in. But my mother's family is called Golter, which is out of Colther, which is another way of saying Goth. It's like, okay, what did my family do in the old country to get the name Goth? And it wasn't because they're wearing black nail polish and leather and look dour and all the drab black makeup and all that. That what lipstick and such. No, it's because they went in and smashed stuff. So I kind of wonder, what did my family do in the day? But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we can all agree. Ad blocker, screw you. We don't. I mean, not screw you, but screw the fact that we need to have you.
Yeah,
I don't want to have
it
ad blocker.
sucks. No,
I wish
I
ad
don't want.
blocker wasn't a thing. I wish it would go away. But
Yeah,
there's a reason why. Let's
exactly.
keep them around. Let's have a day to where we don't need it anymore. Uh, and you know what? We're coming up to the hour. Hey, you're wondering, could we fill an hour? I remember we were having our talk the other day,
Yeah.
and you're kind of worried. And you're going through this whole thing, and I said, hey, relax. I know how we talk behind the scenes, and basically, this is kind of a form of it, but it's even more kinder and gentler. And we're not ragging on poor Mike, our Phil, for that matter.
Right. Sure.
So, mhm. But yeah, we're coming up to the top of that. If people have any ideas, any questions, please feel free to reach out to us here on Rumble. If you think that our show might even be good enough to go over to YouTube, we're not convinced on that yet because, again,
No.
it's that freedom thing. And we're very happy with Rumble. We're glad that Rumble's around and does take it serious. Is it a perfect platform? No, but you know what? YouTube isn't either. They have their problems technically. And then, of course, they really have their problems with those that are running it over there. So it's nice to be doing this Rumble only exclusive series, and maybe we can get more interest in there. I don't necessarily hold it as a backup. My opinion with when it comes to us, I consider it a compliment. Where it's they're walking hand in hand, complementing each other because at least if something happens to one, you got it on the other. Your message is getting out there and hopefully getting even a larger audience out there and people who might be interested in saying, hey, these knuckleheads really aren't that bad. And as you can see also with this show, we're not as quite wild as we are in Pop Talk because, well, one, we're not trying to shadow ban Mike. I love you, Mike. I got to take my shots at you. But before we go on, if you don't have anything else to say, I just want to go on there, and I just do want to give thanks. I do want to give thanks to our partner, our boss, you might see at the other show, Mike, because he's been very, very encouraging with what we've been talking about this and other future projects that hopefully what we're doing here will lead into. Whether this turns into that, or we still have this and then the other one. It all depends on how we see the reactions, what you all have to say about it, and yeah, take a little bit more of a serious look, a little side on. That doesn't mean you're not going to have laughs or such. So please, if there's a topic you wish us to talk about to see what our opinion is, to our brains, even though it's not necessarily much up there, go ahead, please do that. Get the word out there.
Yeah.
Really like it. If you think, even if you don't agree, but you think, you know what, I got a strong enough will to be able to listen to someone I don't agree with and enjoy the conversation. And I can put it in the chat, respectfully. Of course, we do try to read the chat. So questions in the chats about what we're talking about on topic, more than willing to have. And it's almost like having a call-in radio show. So again, we do thank everybody out there. I do want to sit back and thank those who were active in the chat. Well, I don't know if this is that coming across. I probably choose not,
Yeah,
but it is. Ooh, this is
is.
getting better, man. I'm impressed. We weren't able to do that before, but
That's
of course,
true.
hey, it's me. It's me, and that's a
Huh?
response to this gentleman here, Mike from Pacific 414, our forlorn boss who puts up with us twice a week. Um, and of course, part of Pop Talk. Please, we'll bring up a little bit more about that up here. I got to yell at the cat for trying to get on my keyboard now. We also had Retsum. I hope I said that right, Retsum. And yeah, you want to know how often I call a bigot? Just ask Vigilante Williamson. Because he knows I do it on purpose for him to call me one. And of course, there's an army out there. It's a collective of guinea pigs, and at the lead is General Tommy himself. And I thank you for coming in. Again, a longtime friend of the Pop Talk family, and hopefully he'll be our friend too, as well as Ritson. So we hope to be back next week with more topics. Please keep a lookout for that. We'll fight about what those topics will be. Let me move a cat because he's in the way of my mouse. Mouse, get away from my mouse. Oh, sorry, mouse.
No.
And I just dropped him on the floor by accident. But he got what he deserved.
And if you enjoy the show, smash the like, and like Baron said, share out the stream. And we move around different streams, but we decided that let's start doing a show on here so that gives us more freedom of speech. I mean, there's still going to be stuff coming up on the YouTube side. I'm still going to get my second part of another treasure done, and other stuff that comes up. And of course, there's going to be an exciting thing on Friday. And but more about that in a few days.
Right, and which might as well plug ourselves where we are at those other places. Please, every Sunday at basically for 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, please go over to Pacific 414, that channel led by Doc Pop himself. That's for the Sunday edition of Pop Talk. Of course, usually goes about 3 hours or so, and we had a variety of subjects. Sometimes we don't even know until the show is going. So, and that's that joke. And I want to keep it that way. We try to stay fresh. It's wild ride. And if you didn't get enough on Sunday, then mosey on over to Wednesday, which of course, fancy enough, is tomorrow. Unless you are on the Eastern side, then it is today. But mosey on over again to Pacific 414 at Doc Pop's channel for Pop Talk Wednesday edition. The first 2 hours is YouTube and Rumble. And of course, these are also on all Rumble. He has it on Rumble. He has it on YouTube. Is he still doing Kick? I don't know. I can't remember. But sometimes he tries to put it on Kick. Yeah. So you'll be able to watch all the platform. But the third hour on the Wednesday show is Rumble exclusive. That way we're able to expound on things a little bit more without worrying about having to use YouTube can'ts all the time. And again, that is at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock Central, and that's over at Pop Talk. Cash and I are also part of another program that doesn't involve poor Mike, and he's happy about that. And that would be Jace going over to 540 Studios, Jace Fox channel, and he has what's called The Beyond. That is on every Thursday. Hey, no, we're doing commercials in this. Should we have an ad blocker against us, Cat? But that's on every Thursday, anywhere between 6 and 6:30 Central Standard Time, 7 and 7:30 Eastern. We don't know because it's like, okay, we're going to start the show now, and then blah, blah. Oh, I got to do this, got to do this. Okay, and then before you know it, 15 minutes to a half hour has gone by. But we love you, Jace. And again, we do have to thank, first of all, Mike for all the encouragement he's done. And then, of course, we have to thank Jace because he is helping us out with this program in his own way. And he is also a good friend of ours. We have to be because we do that show together on every Thursday.
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. Gun to the head. Gun to the head. Yeah. So I do want to thank him. I want to thank everybody who was in the chat. I want to thank those who are lurking, especially if you like the show. Even if you don't like it, you're still lurking and watching. Hey, thank you so very much. And until then, if Cash doesn't have anything more to say, we will see you next week for 2 new topics, maybe 3. You never know. It all depends. But please join us next week for Cranky Old Fans. We actually talk about pop culture next time. You never know.
Never know.
Never know.
We'll also have the all the links in the description every time we're finished with the show. So.
Did you stop my end credit thing? You stopped my end credit. Okay, I'm starting from the beginning. We'll have the description in. I was trying to time things out. Never screw with your engineer.